Welcome back to
This Takes the Cake.
I'm Jacque from the Florida office.
And I'm Alyssa from the Charleston office.
The OG, I must add.
I know, the
OG.
OGs.
Just celebrated 5 years in Florida office.
And mine's coming up in 2 weeks. 5 years. It's insane.
Back in black.
Back in black. I know.
So today we're doing our Halloween episode. Fun.
Yes.
Scary.
Scary.
We're talking everything bridezillas, groomzillas, and monster-in-laws.
Which we definitely have. I'm like, you want to talk about 5 years?
We definitely have, and we're censoring.
Yeah, we are censoring.
So that's our topic. We have tons of stories for you guys, tons of fun things to go over. We might be changing some names in these stories, but it's fine.
Don't worry about it.
Just to be safe. Just to keep it less scary for us afterwards.
Absolutely.
Alyssa, tell me, managing parents versus managing your couple.
I feel like this is always such a big thing.
100%.
Like, you have your clients, obviously, where it's their wedding day. You're really working for them. But if you get the mom and dad are paying for this, and mom's like, my opinion prevails over everything.
Yep.
It makes it really hard.
Oh yeah. I had a bride hire me, and she was like, I'm literally hiring you just to tell my mother-in-law no to things that I don't want, because if you say it, she'll believe you, but if I say it, she'll hate me. I'm like, so I'm just here to go right under the bus.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the hardest thing too.
That's
it's
cool.
like,
Take the deposit.
Exactly.
Why not?
Pay up. Don't worry about it. But literally, like, serving as kind of like the middle person between like mom and daughter, or like parents and the client. Like, it's
100%.
such a hard thing to do, because it's like, ultimately, when it's their wedding day, when it's the bride and groom, bride and bride, groom and groom, we love them all. Literally, you want to appease them, And
I remember being in those shoes. I remember my in-laws wanted certain things, and my parents wanted certain things, and it was like, you guys had your weddings, it's my wedding now.
Exactly.
And we wanted certain things, and it just kind of was like, I don't know the balance. And I was still like, I was a new bride, I was newly engaged, and I wanted my in-laws to like me.
And you're
so
rolling
I wanted
with
to make
it.
everything perfect.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things I would change at my wedding now, 16 years in,
right,
that I would not have done.
For sure.
100%.
And it's such a big commitment too, because obviously, like, this is a financial, emotional, physical commitment. Like, there's a lot going on, and like, some people's families don't know each other as well. So it's like, you get into the fights about, well, her side is paying, but his side doesn't drink alcohol. Like, it's
and
like,
who's
always
sitting by who?
Exactly. Who's sitting by who? Like, do they sit on separate sides, or does that look weird? Like,
I
we're always
tried so hard to do my seating chart, like, where everybody was blended and we could all get to know each other's families and make it so far. And we sat there for hours with the whole board and little Post-its. And my mother-in-law came and was like, our side, your side, what's the problem? And I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do? Okay.
Exactly.
And it worked out, and it was fine, and we had a great wedding, but it's a difficult position to be in. And I think it's kind of a balancing act, working with all those different family dynamics.
It is.
I had some.
Oh, agreed. It could be hard. Like, I mean, it's so funny because my clients, I feel like sometimes they'll get embarrassed. Like, they're like, I feel like I'm the only person going through this, or I'm the only person that has to accommodate. And I'm like, pretty much all of our clients have something going on. It's whether mom and dad don't get along, or the moms don't get along.
There's always something.
Or, of course, always.
As long as I know about it. And that's why I always tell them, like, you name it, I've seen it.
Exactly.
No judgment here. Everybody's got shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, a better term.
At rehearsal, I'll always pull them to the side, and I'm like, here's kind of what seating is going to look like. And they're like, oh God, no. Like, Becky and Sue cannot be beside each other. And we're like, perfectly fine.
Yeah, exactly.
So it helps a lot.
So with the different dynamics, I think there's a lot. There's the bride and mom. Yeah. The bride and mother-in-law. And then there's the bride and the groom's parents all together. And then you have the groom's parents and the bride's parents.
Yeah.
They want to keep everything a little bit different. And then you're kind of the therapist.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we get paid enough for that.
Yeah, right? I know. Well, that's the thing. It's like, do we start including that in our packages?
It's funny because
2 hours of therapy.
We should add that.
I know.
I've had a groom bring his fiance into my office. He's like, she just needs to meet. And I'm thinking, everything's done. Timeline's done. This is done. That's done. Everything's fine. And she came in and she's like, I'm just freaking out about this, this, and this. And I was like, I got you.
Yeah.
This is fine. That's fine. And she's like, okay, I feel better. Thank you. I was like, I'm a wedding Xanax.
Exactly. Wedding Xanax.
I say it all the time. I'm like,
all you need Xanax. Is me.
Yeah. And they walk out. He's like, thank you so much. I'm like, cool, dude. Yeah. Bring her by.
Like, we got it. Don't worry about it. But I think it's nice because obviously we don't have an emotional approach to it.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh yeah, the planner can handle it. And I'm like, sometimes like when mom and dad don't get along, there's only so much I can do to offset it other than put notes in the timeline like they don't need pictures together or they don't 100%. Need to do this and that.
And you want to let the photographer know because they're going to be spending a lot of time with you. It's really the planners and the photographer that are spending the most time with the couple.
Yeah.
I had a mom and dad separated, not divorced yet, but separated, and the dad was bringing his new partner to the wedding.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like,
this is going to be interesting.
How the hell do I do this? You know? And are we acknowledging the partner? Are we walking the partner?
Yeah. Is she walking? Yeah.
Well, she was not a she.
Oh. So. Got it. Which happens.
Totally
good for him for finding himself.
100%. But I'm like, kind of like, you know, is everybody cool with this type of thing? And then I had another one. They were the best.
The laugh, I'm like, are we okay?
I absolutely adore them. We had lunch together and they were telling me all about, like, we really hope Grandpa doesn't come. We really hope Grandpa doesn't come to the wedding.
Oh, wow.
What'd Grandpa do?
Yeah, Grandpa. Like, yeah.
He's cute. He's got a bow tie. Like, what'd Grandpa do?
Yeah.
Well, Grandpa is dating the uncle's ex-wife.
So no.
I'm like, wait, what now?
I'm sorry.
Like, you've named it. I've seen it. And I was like, that I haven't seen. So then he was like, yeah, he goes, Grandpa's dating my aunt. And I was like, oh. And he's like, it's
like math.
And I'm like, and then he's like, it's going to be awful. I'm like, it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome. Challenge accepted.
So the whole time they were like, we hope Grandpa's not coming. And Grandpa came. So now I want to meet Grandpa.
Oh,
like, immediately.
And
but
Grandpa
I kept saying, is
there?
Aunt Grandma here?
Yeah.
And they were like, stop calling her Aunt Grandma. She was. Like, she's Aunt Grandma.
They're like, you're not being very therapeutic.
Yeah. Like, this is amazing.
You're just digging into our wounds. Family struggles. Aunt Grandma. I can't.
I mean, it's like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So there's that, but there's always like the little bit of therapist you got to do and just keep things calm and little things that happen throughout. But it's a big investment. You want a planner you vibe with, you want a photographer you vibe with. Because it's not just the still shots. You want all that stuff.
Exactly. Like somebody that can interact and be part of it. So
tell me some good monster-in-law stories.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like we should play spook. Like right now the lightning should crash and thunder and like super spooky music.
It's so funny because obviously we were talking about this. Like, I feel like people are like, oh my gosh, like, how is it dealing with brides? Brides are the worst. And I'm like, they're really not. Like, I love them. But I'm like, if we ever deal with issues, it's always mom.
Does it scare you when grooms are like way involved in the wedding? Like, more
it kind of is scary.
I'm
like,
a little sketched out.
Yeah. Well, I'll always tell our brides, I'm like, literally, I think the grooms just want to have their hand in entertainment and food.
And
bar. Yeah. Alcohol for sure. Yeah. So, you know, when they're like super involved, like if I'm getting emails, I'm like, whoa, like involved groom, you know, I'm like, I hope I don't piss him off.
I know. I had a groom like who was like involved. He planned the whole wedding.
Right.
So I literally felt bad because I hadn't talked to the bride at all.
Yeah.
And I called her and I was like, hey, I want to chat both of you about hair and makeup, thinking, you know, this will get her involved. We can get a schedule set up and all this stuff. And he called me afterwards and he was like, don't call her again. He's like, I'm making the decisions. And I was like, it's hair and makeup. It kind of didn't really involve you.
It's like, do you even know?
If you call her about a decision, it will stress her out. I will make all these decisions.
Yeah. I
was like, okay. So I did everything with him, like everything. And I was like, yeah, he was a bit of a groomzilla, but I was just like, okay.
It's like somebody has to be like at some point, which granted, most of my clients and their families have been amazing, but there are some groups where it's like there's always like the one.
It's just
like,
figuring out that it's kind of like reading them out and figuring out that personality and making sure your personality's vibe. And that's why I always do Zooms with my clients first to make sure our personality's vibe, because I wouldn't do this if it wasn't fun, but I want the planning experience to be fun, and I don't want to be like you know, I want them to like me and I want to like them and I want us to have a fun time together.
Like, come to me, I can come to you. Like, we can confidently like be ourselves, and I don't feel
like if something's going on, if something's stressing you out. Like, tell me. I mean, brides have said, I can't deal with all the emails. Can you just upload everything? 100%. I'll upload 30 proposals if you want.
Absolutely.
Read through them and I'll delete the others. If that's the way you want to plan, like, we can work with that.
And I've had the same situation. Like, sometimes our brides, especially full, obviously they want us to do everything for them. I'll send the questionnaire and some of them are like, do I really have to do this? And I'm like, listen, if it's going to stress you out, no. Like, we'll figure it out as we go.
I booked a full planning, I think last month or the month before. And we're like reaching out like, hey, did you get your questionnaire done?
Yeah.
Can you set up your aisle planner? Can you send us? And I always ask my couples for a picture now because I love to see like their aisle planner profile in there.
Right.
And she's like, no, we're moving and we're doing all these things. So I don't, but I'm like, okay, that's, you know, that's, I don't want to push you. Like, but I don't want you to think that I'm forgetting about your wedding.
Exactly. Like, you are important, but if you opt not to do it, then of course that's on 100%.
You ever have like his parents don't like her parents?
Yeah, really? I have.
Tell me something.
Which it's so crazy because, you know, like, obviously they'll tell us the notes. I'm like, give me the family notes, like, be honest, because I need to know who's not going to drive, who's not taking pictures together, things like that. But there's definitely been, like, literally put them on polar opposite sides of the room. They do not get along. Like, and it just makes you think, it's like, how are they gonna do this forever? Yeah. You know, like, because
you always say you don't marry the family, but you do.
You do. Oh, the family,
when kids come into play.
Exactly. There's like all these other elements that get involved, but no, we have definitely had them, you know, just like little pieces, like aunt doesn't get along with 5 people, or, you know, his parents don't get along with her parents. And, you know, it just makes it so hard because you would think that you go into wedding day and people can put the drama to like the side.
And 90% of the time they do.
Exactly.
But you never
when
know.
They don't.
Something could happen.
OMG. It's always like, you're like, oh God, they're like crossing paths right now.
Yeah,
like,
it's one of those where you're like a fine line between planner and just making sure everything's running smoothly.
Yeah.
And then also, I'm not security. So
exactly,
I can't do that.
I know, it's so funny. Like, we'll get the occasional blacklist, and I'm like, I'm gonna do my best, but in the grand scheme, I'm a little blonde girl. Like, I cannot take down like Uncle Rick or whoever you don't want to.
Jumping on Uncle Rick like a spider monkey. Yeah, right. That'll take the cake.
Yeah, that will take the cake.
Do it, Alyssa. Do it for the gram.
Yeah, do it for the gram. Oh my God.
So on brides, have you had bridezillas? I haven't had. So it's funny because I feel like some of my brides are like the chillest brides ever in the planning.
Yeah.
And then sometimes on the wedding day, they go batshit crazy.
Yes. Or it's like the opposite where they're like, yeah, right. It's like they're either like super detail oriented, like really on top of it, like stressing out throughout. And then wedding day, they're super chill, or it's vice versa where you get hit with like the Uno reverse and it's wedding day and everything's been chill. And then they're like on your back and like, you can't do good enough. And
then I'm like scared.
Yeah,
and
I know.
I feel like I'm on the eggshells and I'm like trying really hard to make everything right.
Exactly.
And it's like, it's one of those things where it's a balancing act.
Exactly.
So, and you're balancing between trying to keep mom cool.
Yep.
And bride cool. And then you have the bridal party, who I absolutely love because they're so much fun to mess with.
They're always hilarious.
Like, I pick on my bridal party.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'll tell them, like, don't F up my wedding.
Yeah.
Don't, like, you fold your hands the wrong way walking down the aisle. The whole wedding's screwed.
It's over.
And they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, I'm just kidding.
But
it's my first wedding.
They always get so anxious at rehearsal, though. Like, I feel like the dads are always like, okay, like, if I'm holding the rings, when do I go up? Like, when do I do that? And it's like, don't mess it up, Dad.
Yeah, don't mess it up. But the brides and the moms, like, you have the moms who want what they want because they're paying for it. And so this was fun fact. I had a wedding in this year. Keeping it blunt.
This year. Maybe it was 2 years ago. We don't know.
Could have been 2019. But I had a wedding this year that the mom of the groom called me and was like, I want to surprise the couple.
I had one of those last year. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll be the judge of that.
You know? Yeah. It's like,
but I had already had multiple conversations with the bride about the mom overstepping boundaries.
Yes.
So I don't want to ruin a good surprise if this is like thing you want to do. But she's like, I want to play a video of like his entire childhood growing up during the mother-son dance.
Yeah.
And luckily I know the couple very well. And I'm like, I don't think that's really what she's going to want.
Yeah.
Being that, So she's like, well, just give me the DJ's number. Let me call him directly. Get him the
no,
flash drive. And I'm like,
that's okay.
I want to help.
Yeah.
And I kind of like let it go for a couple days.
Right.
And I was like,
maybe it'll just kind of like trickle
forgot.
off. Yeah.
Maybe she'll forget.
Oh no.
And she called me again. And I was like, I didn't say anything to the bride and groom. And I was finally like, you know what? I just feel like I don't want the bride sitting there going, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I
Like,
understand she
who
wants to
let
have that
them-
moment with her
Yeah.
son. But it's the bottom line is the day is about the couple. So
Exactly.
let's have you want to do a couple video? That's fine. But
Right.
this is her day. And ultimately, we always say it comes down to whoever signed my contract. I don't care who's footing the bill. I don't care who's gifting you what. I don't care if I was a gift to you.
Agreed.
Who signed my contract is who I'm listening. So I diplomatically said, though I would love to help with the surprise, ultimately I can't do anything behind my couple's back. They signed my contract. I am bound to them by contractual agreement. So I can't do that. And she was like, that's fine. I'll figure this out on my own.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh. Did she do it?
So she didn't, because the bride found out.
Oh.
Because she started asking the groom for stuff.
Yeah.
And the bride found out, and she came to me. She's like, listen, any decisions that are made are not made.
No.
And I was like, okay, I already had that conversation.
Yeah.
She was like, what? And I was like, listen, we're good. And she was like, oh, thank God. Thank God.
You're like, I'm not good. I already knew how to handle this.
I got you.
And that's why you have a planner and trust a planner.
Yes, yes.
You know,
you have to have somebody you vibe with. The planner's not more than just a planner. They become a friend. They become therapists. They become everything.
Literally, we become like part of the family by the end of it. I mean, the hugs that we're getting at the end, and we're like, we love you so much, and I love them.
I did a walkthrough yesterday with a couple at a venue, and a girl comes out. She's like, Jackie, and I was like, what? And it was a previous bride who had also sent me her friend.
Yeah,
and her friend was one of the weddings in the Bahamas that I done. And she was like, oh my God, how are you? And I'm like hugging her and I'm telling her, oh, I'll tell your husband, everything's great. You know, I miss you guys and everything. Keep in touch. I keep in touch with them on social media a lot, but it's so nice because my other couple's like looking at me like, what? I was like, previous bride.
Previous bride. Don't worry about it.
And I did one wedding. I did 2 weddings back to back, and the bride, we were doing her first look. And my couple from the night before was staying in that hotel.
Oh.
And they walked by during the first look. They're like, best wedding planner ever. You're going to love her. And I was like, I paid them for that.
And it's so great too, because we just crossed paths recently too. Like I have a couple getting married October 21st who are friends with clients that were yours in Florida. Yes. So it's like really cool. Yes. And they were just talking like all these great things about you. And like, it's cool. The
Ask
best
them where
ever.
I need to mail that check.
Oh, you owe him a check.
Well, and Sarah will text me in Myrtle Beach and she's like, client for this date, da 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 da. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, did something pop up on Honeybook? Like, did I miss something that came in? Did you get an email by accident?
Yeah.
She's like, I'm at a wedding with their neighbors. They love you. I was like,
oh,
cool.
I know. It's amazing. So even from South Carolina to Florida.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that you're like, cool. Don't F that up. But it really is like
I know. I'm like, I need to be really
like 6 degrees of separation because everybody's there.
Right.
So how do you balance that? How do you balance monster-in-laws and brides?
Yeah,
and
I know.
Brides have some strong personalities, so it's hard.
They do have strong personalities, and obviously it's their wedding day. And like I will say, from planning my own 3 years ago, every decision felt massive. Like it was like, this is going to be the end of the world, like blah, blah, blah. So like I understand like being in their shoes, but like if I mean, there's been multiple times where I get an email and she's like, my mom might reach out. I just need you to tell her no. Like, you know, you're kind of serving as like the referee liaison. And kind of like you said, like if they're our client, they sign the contract, it's their wedding day. Like obviously I'm happy to do it, but there are sometimes those parents that are very pushy and we just have to do like that gentle approach. Like you don't want to upset anybody because obviously it's a big day for everybody, but ultimately like we've got to get on the same ground.
Exactly. And the thing is, and I tell the couples, like, don't stress out over, nobody's going to look at the candles and be like, great wedding. We danced all night. We had hell drinks all night and we had so much fun.
Yeah.
But did you realize she only had 3 votive candles on the table?
I know.
Nobody's noticing that.
Where were the tapers? Why were they silver? Like, you know, like nobody's paying any attention to that stuff.
Like, and I say, you have a good party. You have a good, you know, it's going to be amazing. Don't stress over the little things. But the moms, it's one of those things where, and I have it where you know, the client signed the contract, but I had a bride reach out and she was like, hey, just to let you know, I went ahead and gave you my mother-in-law's number. Gave my mother-in-law your number. She's super sweet. You'll love her. She's great. She's going to email you a bunch of things. And then I also gave my mom your number, and she's
One
not
voice
sweet,
of
and good luck with that. And I was like,
oh my God, good luck with that.
what does that mean? I was like, that's scary.
Yeah.
So then I was like, now I'm kind of like, why is your mom scary?
And also back to the contract where we say
100%.
one voice of communication. Okay. Like,
as per our contract.
Yes,
I'm
literally.
Like, and I said, we got to keep everybody on the same page.
Exactly.
I can't be emailing your maid of honor. Now, wedding day, yes, maid of honor texts me that you're on your way. Mother-in-law texts me the transportation's late. Whatever, you guys got to text me on wedding day.
But say they're disagreeing on florals, and mom's like, nope, I want this. And then bride's emailing me separately saying, well, actually, I want this. And I'm like, guys, like, y'all need to decide together. Like, ultimately, you two have to get along after this. Like, I'm here, obviously, if you need me, but there's no family issues with me. Okay. So it's like, you guys need to get on the same page and then relay it to me. And that kind of keeps us out of the referee zone too. Yeah.
And
like,
I'm like,
I
the
get
bride's
it,
like,
but
I don't care. Just let my mom do whatever. I don't really care. And I'm like, wait, what? You're like way better than me.
No,
but they
for
do.
sure.
I planned an entire wedding with mom.
Yeah, me too.
Barely talked to the bride at all.
Right.
And I was like,
and it's so great.
Yeah, it's great. And
they know what they want.
She was great. And then the bride called me after the wedding and she was like, I want to come by your office and talk to you. And I'm like, God, crap, what did I screw up?
I know.
And that's like your stomach.
Are you upset?
Stomach drop.
Yeah.
Like, what happened? She came in with flowers and she said, you planned my entire wedding with my mom. And now I want you to help me plan my mom's surprise 60th. And I was like, I've been working with her mom for like a year. So it was so personal.
That's so
and I got
cute.
to see, like, her maid of honor was pregnant and I got to see the baby. Yeah. And it was like, we had a blast. And so it's like now like a family planner doing things. And I just had one of my previous brides reach out for her daughter's first birthday. And I'm like, oh my God.
Well, that's the best when we're like hitting the milestones and, that's the thing. Like, if you don't put us in these hard situations where we have to choose sides and whatnot, like, we want to be part of everything, like wedding, babies,
I always joke with the groom
anniversaries.
Too, I'm like, he's like, well, what about, and I'm like, you're invited to our wedding. So
yeah.
Just show up, play around a golf, have a shot, and you're on the way. Like,
right?
You're invited to our wedding.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I'm paying for the wedding card. What do you do? You once had moms weren't allowed around each other. Oh, that was fun.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it was one of those, I'll do my best, but I don't.
Like, I can't forcefully keep them apart
security.
all day. Like we're running around,
Running around, they might run into each other. Like, I'm not monitoring the ladies' room. So, and we have a wedding to execute as well. So, it's one of those things. I had a bride who, she color-coded her guest list, which was helpful.
Right.
But not for me. I don't know who Jane and Sue and Billy are.
Like,
they're not wearing name tags.
Was it highlighted like according to like group? So like his friends, her friends, it was like,
it wasn't even all the guests. It was like, these guests are in red. They're high stress. People keep them away from me. I'm like, I don't know who they are. And then
that's a first.
The guests in yellow were neutral people. And the guests in purple were fine to be around her all day. But I'm like, I don't know these people.
Right.
And then she also, like, I had that checklist, and then we had codes, and she said, like, if I asked for a hot coffee, nobody knows I don't drink hot coffee. Like, that's your cue to remove people from the bridal suite. I was like, I don't work here. I don't work here.
No, I am not your security detail. Right? As we're like running around, like pinning on boutonnieres and making sure the flower girl has her
vendors
basket.
Calling you.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I know.
Did you get the layout I sent?
Yeah, it's like, I'm not sure I can add referee to my list, but I'm gonna do the best I can. Like, what
referee,
do you do?
Therapist, planner.
Yeah, of course. It's like the trifecta.
Yeah. What is your advice you give brides who like want to control everything?
Yeah. So my thing is, if you're going to hire a planner,
and I'm asking you because I want to learn this. No.
Yeah. What do you do?
Totally using
How do you approach this? Well, it's like, if you're going to hire a professional, you need to trust them.
Yeah.
You're putting all this money into them. You've done your due diligence. You've researched other planners. You talked to us. You talked to them, and you were like, this is the person I want to work with.
Yeah, 100%.
Trusting us is the best way to make sure that our process is seamless.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can tell when a bride doesn't trust you, because like, and I get it. Like, I love our type A queens. I'm a type A queen. I get it can be hard to let go, but it's like, we know what we're doing. We've been doing it for 5 years.
And we've been, like, we learn you throughout our conversations, throughout our Zooms, whatever it may be. we know you. And it's one of
Exactly.
those things that I'm not going to set you up with vendors who suck.
No.
Because I'm there the whole day too. So if a
I wanna
florist
work
shows
with
up
good
with
people.
dead flowers, that doesn't make my life easier.
Exactly.
And you know, I'm not going to set you up with a dead beat DJ who just like the whole dance floor is empty. Like I'm not going to do that. But you also want and makeup artists. Like I'm going to send you quality people. But I always tell them you're free to use whoever you choose. I'm not locking you in because I love forming those new relationships.
Agreed.
However, like, and I had a bride a million years ago who was like, she came downstairs and she was all in her robe and looking all cute. And she was like, I have to rearrange the entire bathroom basket. That's not the order it's supposed to go in. And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
Nobody cares where the tampons are in the basket. Like nobody cares where the mints are.
And
by the time they get in there, they're drunk.
Well, exactly. And it's like, although it feels like the biggest decision in the world, it's like, we've got you. Like, that's always my biggest thing. Like, if I can feel their stress coming through in an email, I'm like, it's okay. Like,
oh, you do that? I do. Here's a shot.
Yeah, here's a shot. Maybe you need something to drink.
I did that one time at a wedding. She was like freaking out. She's like, this sucks and this sucks. And I was like, come. We're going to do a couple shots now.
Yeah.
And she was like, what? And I was like, get your girls over here. It's your
It'll
wedding
make you feel
day.
good. I know.
Let me tell you, 3 to 4 shots later, she's like, this is the best wedding ever. And I was like,
it's all they need. And I feel like that's becoming more of a common thing. Like, multiple of my recent weddings, they're like, can we get a tray of shots for the bridal party? And I'm like, well, in South Carolina, you have to get it over ice. But yes. And they're always like, okay, we'll take it easy.
I'm the planner that asked for forgiveness, not permission. We did it. So we got our couple shots. She was danced the entire night away. I got invited to the after party. I got invited to the brunch. I got invited to all the different things afterwards. I'm go home and
agreed. Yeah,
I'm like, we're averaging like 7 to 8 to 11 miles on a wedding day. So I'm like, thank you so much. You're so sweet. No.
I know.
You're so sweet. No, I didn't talk to her for months after the wedding, and I'm like, did she hate me?
Wait, are you mad?
Does she remember me? Because she did do some shots. And I called her and chatted with her afterwards, and she called me back, and I left her a couple messages. She called me back. She goes, I'm so sorry I haven't called you back. And I said, no, what's wrong? I said, I just want to make sure everything's okay. You know, I always like to touch base. And she goes, I got pregnant on the wedding night, and I didn't know how to tell you. And I go, oh my God, I made you do shots. I got you pregnant.
Oh no. This is all my fault.
I got you pregnant. And she was like, oh my God, no. And I was like, I'm so sorry. So
shots will do it.
This was like a million years ago. And honestly, she has 3 kids now.
Yeah.
They are doing fantastic. I did her sister-in-law's wedding too.
Aww.
We still keep in touch. And I love when you see them at future weddings.
Yeah.
Like my Bahamas wedding, I saw my other bride and groom there, and my groom at the Bahamas wedding was a officiant for my previous wedding. So it was like one of those like
everybody's connected,
friendly faces in a different country.
Yeah,
and, you know, it's one of those things. So
oh my God, I know, it's like the best.
So tell me a monster-in-law story. Tell me something scary. Tell me something spooky.
Literally, I know. I'm like trying to think. Like other than them like arguing, I haven't had anybody like really come at me. Like I feel like
I had a mom come
I was about to say, I feel like Florida, like your office takes the cake with this stuff.
Office takes the cake.
I mean, it's Florida. It just has this reputation.
My weekend forms, like when I upload my weekend forms, and we ask like any family dynamics we need to know about, anything that is going to bother you. I'm telling you, like things that I was like, I've called Sarah on the way home from like a midnight on it. She's like, if you're calling me at midnight, what happened?
Yeah.
I have had a photographer get into a fist fight with a guest on the dance floor.
Why? Like
somebody
why?
Bumped into their camera, and I'm like,
on the dance floor.
Shit happens.
Yeah.
In a wedding, there's like 200 people there.
And these people are drunk and they're dancing, and
it
there's
was awful. So we had to do. She was like, I'm leaving the wedding.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this anymore. And I was like, okay, well, we have to do like grand exit. We have this and the other. So I was talking to the bride and groom. The bride was absolutely like hyperventilating that she was, because we had just cut the cake.
Yeah.
So we still had grand exit. We still had like dances to do, like all kinds of stuff to do.
Yeah.
And she was hyperventilating, like full on bag in the bridal suite, hyperventilating.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And then I was like, I was trying to negotiate with I was like, listen, who's the guest? She's like, I don't feel safe anymore. I said, who's the guest? I will ask those guests to leave now. I will immediately remove them. I'm talking with her, with the groom, going over everything. And she's like, no, I'm not going back in. I'm not shooting the wedding anymore. And I was like, okay. So she called the police.
So they just stopped.
She called the police. So I had to do grand exit out the back of the venue because we had 3 Martin County Sheriff's offices out front.
No.
And I'm like, this takes the cake.
Like,
that's what I'm thinking. So I'm like sitting there like, I can't. So I said, listen, okay, no worries. And the groom's like, I'll give you more money. Just come in and shoot the rest of the wedding. She's like,
wow.
absolutely not. So I said, okay, no worries. I said, can you give me the disc?
Yeah.
So at least they can get their pictures. I don't know where this is going to go, where it's going to be, but just, you don't even have to edit them.
Right.
Just, she was scared to death. She wasn't going to get pictures. No, it's my property. I'm not giving it to you. There was no negotiating. She left with her camera, left early. The bride it was about a year before she got her photos, and she was keeping track of it on a calendar, and her contract, like the contract stated, like she had to a year. And she basically, like the day before a year was up, she was like, per contract, you owe me my photos. And she finally got them.
No way.
But we were already making plans to like reshoot her wedding. I had so many photographers lined up to like, we'll do it complimentary. We feel so bad this happened to her.
All because somebody thought they were going to get on the dance floor and not get bumped. Like, what? Yeah, that's like literally impossible. I will say, I don't know about you, but I've had guests get pretty spicy with me before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, we had a wedding.
Well, I tell my interns, like, are you single? They're like, yeah. I'm like, not tonight. You're not.
Not tonight. You're not.
This is a fireman wedding.
Oh, listen. They will come after you. Like, all these cute girls running around. I'm like, girls, be careful.
They will. I've had the girls, like, stay together. I was like, don't go anywhere alone because
I know
there's some sketchy people down in Miami. But, yeah, I was like, you ain't single anymore.
Yeah. And, so 2 years ago, talking about, like, guests being, like, a little spicy, and meaning, like, rude. So we get to eat maybe for like 5 minutes. Okay. So we get our vendor meals. Everybody's good. They're dancing. We kind of just disappear for like the 5 minutes or whatever. We come back and this guest looks at me and he goes, we've been looking for you. Where have you been? What are you doing? Yeah. And he's freaking out. And I was like, how can I help you? Like, what's going on? Like, we just ate, like, we're back. And he was like, we're looking for the foam glow sticks for the dance floor. And I was like, whoa. I was like, we normally do that like a little later when everybody's dancing. But I was like, here you go, bud. Like, it's okay. But, you know, like, we've definitely had people where I'm like, whoa. Just like, it's and it's funny because the bride looked at me and she was like, oh my God. Like, just ignore it. I'm so sorry. I know. I think that was the drinks talking, but it's like, oh my God. I
had a mom. We had set up everything. Everything was beautiful. It was perfect. And it was a private residence. And she was like, basically, she goes, girls, do something. I said, everything is set up. What do you want me to do? And she's like, vacuum the floor.
Oh, because that's what we do.
And private vacuum. And I'm like, I looked at my assistant. I was like, I don't vacuum my own floor. I have the robot.
Yeah. Like, I don't do that for
vacuum
myself.
The floor. She's like, serve my guests. I was like, wait, what?
Oh my God.
She's like, I didn't want to pay catering today. You can serve them today. I was like,
let me just wash people's feet while I'm at it. Like, Jesus. What do you want?
Okay. And then I had another one. She yelled at me too. She told me the bathrooms needed cleaned up. And I said, okay. And she screamed at us, like finger in my face, screaming, you need to clean the bathrooms immediately.
I was
like, I'm not a bathroom attendant. I do not work at this hotel, but I will relay your message happily to the hotel.
If you don't freaking scream at me trying to get it done.
I go to the bathrooms and I do. If there's paper towels all over, I grab them and pick them up.
Yeah,
but I'm
for
not
sure.
Gonna, like leave it but I'm like, she's like, there's glassware everywhere. It needs to be bust these tables. I was like, but
again, there's a vendor here to do that.
Yeah,
task.
but I'm not going to be like, this is not my job.
I would never say that. Yeah.
Like, how are you even, we're going to work through this and we're going to get it fixed for you. But I'm kind of managing the band and the band breaks and the photographer and making sure everything's in place for speeches. So I'm like, I didn't notice the glasses sitting on the table. And then behind the wall, there was like 4 servers just standing there. Yeah. Like on the TikTok. And I'm like,
and it's like, what are you doing? Yeah. She's yelling at me for something you should be doing. Yeah.
And the catering manager was standing there right when she did it. And she's like, okay, well, I'm going to go home now. And I was like, wait, what?
Okay.
Can I come too?
Oh my God. And I think that's like a big part. Like when people get stressed, it comes to us. It doesn't matter if it's somebody else's fault. Like it comes to us and we have to find ways to de-escalate and to educate. So like if they're like, oh, the glassware or whatever, I'll be like, okay, we'll handle it. And I'll go find the person that needs to do it.
And back to shots, that could de-escalate or escalate. It could go either way.
I know.
It's a gamble, but sometimes it works out.
It's like we need to do a survey. How do you handle your alcohol before we get into this weekend? Like
I feel like the weddings that don't drink and don't have any alcohol are more stressful for everybody.
Yeah. No,
I had a guest climb over a bar.
Oh.
Yeah, she's like, they didn't do last call. And I'm like, well, it's an event space. They don't do last call because it's not a bar.
Yeah.
So, and they'll have the mad rush off the dance floor.
Thing.
So they just end.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I want to be here. So she called over, and then the banquet manager was
Hey, you're not doing that.
no.
Nice try.
Right?
Oh my
what
gosh.
is any vendor craziness? Like vendor spooky stories.
Oh,
I have such
again,
good vendors.
you really have so many good stories. I haven't really had anybody like get aggressive with me, but there's definitely been vendors where like you tell them what to do and it's like you don't exist to them.
Yeah.
It's literally like they would rather talk to the wall behind you than to listen to what the planner has to say.
And I think planners get a bad rap for that. Planners are, I mean, don't get me wrong, we have a controlling
Well, of
streak.
course. But when you're responsible for all these people and all these details.
We have a controlling streak, but that's part
who we
of
are.
That's part of what we do. But I think planners get a bad rap because a lot of them are overbearing and over controlling. And I feel like I don't micromanage my vendors.
No.
I don't. Like
I don't know
you
how to
hired
tell
professionals.
them.
I recommended professionals. And I'm not going to micromanage them. And I have some DJs who look at me and they're like, "Oh, good, you're here. I don't have to think. Cue me on everything." Dude, I got all kinds of stuff to do.
Yeah.
I can't be cueing you on everything.
We've definitely had times where like we've stood back there with them, made sure everything was right. And that's why, and we've gotten so many compliments on our timelines, but it's like, oh, wow, the songs are on here. Oh, wow, this is, you know, and I'm like,
everybody.
yes,
So we're
well,
all on the
of
same
course.
page.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, I don't want to know that they sent in like a form to you that had complete different songs than me and like it's an issue. Like our timeline is the final piece for everything.
Yeah,
if you have something different, oh, of course.
I want to say thank you and they decide, my feet hurt and I just got my salad. No, I'm not saying thank you.
Yeah.
Cool,
and I'm like, that's fine. Nobody's going to know that it was any different.
Yeah, we had, we did, and the timeline, it's funny because I always say that, I always tell the bride, like, there's cushion in the timeline, don't worry about it, because she's like, oh my God, the buses are late. And I was like, don't worry about it. We have cushion. Everything's fine. And she's like, okay, good. I said, you don't see it. I know where it is. And okay, cool. And then I'm running back, oh my God, the buses are late.
I know, it's like, crap. Everybody's ready to go. I know.
I'm like calling my girls, call the buses.
Yes.
We had one bus break down, and the bride was like, and it was a big wedding. It was a big wedding. And I was like, I can fit 5 or 6 in my car. Yeah. Like, do you want me to start making rounds? And she's like, no, we'll get it fixed.
I know. And it's so funny. Like one of our offices recently had the bus that like hit a column and got pulled over.
Like what? I know. I was dying.
And these are just like the little things that happen, but we deal with it.
The little things that you takes the cake.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
So we and we always have something that happens. I had one wedding we did, and it was supposed to be, talk about scary stories. And it's so funny because it was supposed to be salads served directly after or directly before speeches.
Yes.
So I look around the room, and this venue doesn't do weddings anymore, thank God. And I tell the story, and the bride's like, wait, what? My venue? I'm like, no, not your venue. But half the room had salads. Bride and groom and a sweetheart had salad. The other half of the room had no salads. So I go to the back, and I'm like, hey, where are we at on salads?
Yeah.
And because the DJ's waiting, and she's like, we ran out of lettuce. I'm telling you, I look like a confused
get the
dog.
lettuce.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I said, wait, you do this? You ran out of lettuce, we're still plating, or we got to go to Publix now?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're running down to a restaurant to borrow lettuce.
Oh.
I said, okay, cool, no worries.
The amount they probably paid per head for those freaking salads too. I
go back out to the DJ. I'm like, dude, roll with speeches right now. He's like, okay. By the time best man gets up there and talks about baseball stories, and the maid of honor gets up and talks about, when they were in dance class together, and all these things happen. Everything's fine. Salads are served. Bride and groom already had theirs. They had no idea it happened. I'm not going to tell them after the wedding, like, guess what happened? Here's the tea.
They ran out of lettuce.
Shit show yours was. No, I'm not going to tell them that because in her eyes, her day was perfect, and I don't have to talk about it.
And that's why we're there to handle that stuff behind the scenes.
I had one that was, the groom had celiac disease, and they ordered a special top tier that was gluten-free on the side of the wedding cake for him to cut and eat.
We've definitely had the same.
Yeah. And as soon as the cake got delivered, I'm like, where's the gluten-free one? Wait, what? I'm like, it's right here.
Oh,
well, we forgot it back at the bakery. We'll go get it. They never made it.
Oh,
so
my God.
We had cake cutting at 8:15. I'm telling you, that cake showed up at 8:05. And I was like, working with the DJ, I was like, just slow it down.
Let's stall a little bit.
Another song. Yeah. Because a lot of times they want to do like a 3 to 5 song dance set. I'm like, add 6 and 7, But the cake got delivered. We sliced it. We put it behind there. He's good. They did the thing. Nobody had any idea. And it's funny because I tell these stories to like new brides who are like, well, why do I use you instead of a venue coordinator? Well, because they're not worried about that.
The venue coordinator, exactly. So, their focus is the venue. What's provided with the venue. They're not
They're not calling late buses. They're not calling hair and makeup that you want to do a touch up. They're not coordinating. Yeah. So, and then they're like, so afterwards, my brides are like, so what went wrong? I'm like, nothing.
Nothing.
Perfect, obviously.
It was great.
Yeah. And then I was like, and then the next Zoom with a new bride, I'm like, that's what happened to this.
Yeah, I know.
You know, and she's like, what?
But sometimes you can like never guess it. Like we had a wedding, I think it was like in my first year. Of course, the sparklers. Yes. Everybody wants the sparklers even still, which I feel like they're starting to die off.
I hope so.
Yeah. I literally have a burn like on my ankle from where somebody put one like on my foot.
Drunk groomsman like whip me in the ass with it. And I was like, okay, I don't want to have to beat you up at the wedding. Like, I will beat you.
Don't do that.
Yeah. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No, it's hot and ow.
It hurts.
Yeah. It hurts. They're metal.
And that's the thing. Like, obviously, like, people are creating this tunnel. And sometimes these spaces, like, aren't that big. And the people are holding the sparklers. They're making their way through. And, like, one dropped on the bride's dress and it started, like, flaming. We were, like, stomping it as she's, like, making her way through. It was totally fine. Like, we just stomped it real quick. And she went on her merry way. But we were like,
I do like lining them up because I yell really loud. And I'm like telling everybody, I'm like, hold your sparklers up high. And I tell everybody no more than 20 inches on sparklers.
Yes.
People come out with these like 3-foot sparklers. I'm like, holy hell, we're
going
to be
here
all night.
And then they stand there and they hold them.
Yeah. And I'm like, no. And I know Sarah had that story where the whole thing blew up. Yes. But I'm like, no. So I'm like, drunk people and sparklers are never a good combination. No. But I'm holding it up. I'm like, hold it up. I have my torch. I'm like, I'm going to walk down and get them all lit.
Exactly.
And I was like, is everybody ready? And they're holding them up. They're all like listening to instructions.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's get lit. And they're all excited. And they're like, yeah.
Well, it's so funny. It's like kindergarten again. Like, I'm like, everybody listen. And when you get all those drunk people to focus on you, you're like, I'm good. I am good at my job.
I like hiring teachers because they're like wrangling cats, and this is just drunk cats.
Well, for sure. And I'm literally like, hold your sparklers up and out. Yeah. Like, I'm like, not my bride on fire.
Them. She's got a lot of hairspray.
Yeah, right. I'm like, this poor girl will go into flames. Don't do it. But just some examples of what could happen.
Do you have anything that pops in your mind as far as like a red flag, like right off the bat?
Red flag. Too many questions. Like, I feel like if they're like, do you have references for your work? Can you send us contact? You know, and I'm like, but like, I don't know if they want me like doing that. Like, you trust me or you don't, you know, like
we're either vibing or we're not.
Exactly.
And I want you to trust me because I want to be able to trust you, you know. And
of
like,
course, like ask me as many questions as you want while you're planning. It's 100%. Not that, but it's like when we're like in the consult process and it's like, I'm going to need references and 3 examples of when you had to change a timeline 40 times. And it's like, okay, wait, like, you know, like I feel like
see the reviews online.
Exactly.
And the ones that are like month of, but then they think that they're full.
Yeah.
So she's like asking me to review, and when I review the contracts with month of, obviously I review everything and to make sure I'm working within photography, videography, working within the boundaries of the contract.
Exactly.
But I had one like get really, really mad because I didn't review her BEO and they had missed one of the vodka bottles that she was supposed to have. And I'm like,
oh geez,
dude, like that's not where we have the time to do that.
No.
Like we had gone over everything a million times. But for me, I think my red flag is like when they ask you to make edits to your contract.
Oh yeah, because
you
like
that one, I was like, no.
You're like, I'm not doing that. And like, listen, mad respect to our lawyers and all of our people, you know, but like our contract is our contract, and it's also a corporate thing. Like I'm like, I cannot. Yeah. Like I'm rolling with what I'm told.
If you want something mine, like I had one that was not a big deal. She wanted, because it says like in the partial 80 hours of planning, and it says, you know, up to this many meetings, up to that many meetings, and she's like, well, I kind of want to like. I want to work within that 80 hours, but I want to call you when I want to call you, and when I want to email you when I have a question. I want a meeting and I'm like, no, you're fine to use that 80 hours how you want.
Exactly.
This is an example of how we use it.
Right.
So I kind of put, this is an example of how to use these hours.
Yeah.
But once we start going outside of the boundaries, and I had one, she texted me, which I know it says don't text, but they text. She texted me at like 9:30 at night about hair and makeup, and her wedding was like 7 months away.
Oh gosh. It's like you don't even like finalize any of that literally until like month of.
No, I'm
like your services are going to change. You might have a girl drop out. Your mom might want lashes now, you know, like
I was like, it's 9:30 at night. And like, then one, I wanted to do a Zoom late, and I try to accommodate and do a Zoom late in my families and things like that. But then it becomes, oh, well, we just wanted to do it late because we wanted to sleep in and we just got back from this party. And I was like, so I'm taking away that time with my family.
Yeah.
So, no.
Like I'm a human too with like a life.
teachers aren't human.
Yeah.
Because my teacher was never like, she had nothing to do outside the classroom when I was a kid. I was like, wait, I saw her at the store.
I know.
Did you know my teacher grocery shops?
Yeah, I know. Do you know they have to like cook dinner and take care of their dogs, and they might have a spouse at home?
They don't live in the classroom.
Exactly.
I remember learning that, and I was just like, whoa.
For sure. And I'm like, I will do anything you want me to do within business hours and within the guidelines of your package. Yes. Because when it comes down to it, it's fairness. Like, it's not that I don't want to do everything for you, but it's like, somebody paying for full is paying for that. Like, like it wouldn't be fair for me to give that to like a lower tier pack. It's like they paid for it.
And I think it's hard because we are so passionate about what we do.
We are.
And we love weddings and we love all things weddings. And I want my bride to reach out. If she has a quick question here and there, if it's month of, it's 6 months from, like,
Absolutely.
shoot me an email, 5 minute email, not a big deal. But like at the same time, and I'd rather you reach out than be scared.
Exactly. That's a big part of it too.
But then it's like,
gotta trust
at
me.
the same time. And it's hard for me to like set that boundary because I really care about their
wedding. I know. I'm like, I want to do everything all the time, but I'm like, okay, well, like if a full planning person found out about it, they'd probably be pretty pissed off.
Well, like, I called my 4:30. I left the house at 4:30 this morning to catch the flight here, and I'm like emailing on the way to the airport.
Of course, as we do.
My husband's like, "Are you emailing at 4:30 in the morning?" And I'm like,
"That's what I do." Yeah.
Yeah.
I check my email like once an hour. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm checking my email. Like, it's who I am.
I can't do that because I won't fall asleep.
It's so bad. I know.
But I do get up and I make notes on my phone. Like, don't forget this, don't forget that.
Yes.
Call on this, call
Always
on that.
putting things in the calendar. Like, live by to-do lists for sure.
Let's see. Crazy demands from clients.
To think ahead
I had a bride want a black wedding dress.
Ooh,
I was all about it.
That's like Christine on Selling Sunset. Yes. She wore that like gorgeous black dress.
Wait, is she the same one on the home HGTV show that redoes houses?
No,
because she's had like 17 marriages.
No. Okay. Oh wait, no. That is, you're talking about. How do you say his name? Tarek?
Yes.
Yeah, so Heather married him, but his ex-wife is the one on HGTV. She's also a cute blonde, though, so,
Yeah. I'm still in my first one, though.
Yeah. Me too.
Crazy demand.
You would hope. We're 2.5 years in.
Dress. She wanted a black wedding dress. I was all about it. I was like, I'm thinking, hell
like, let's do this.
Those pictures are going to be sick. Her grandmother said absolutely not. Oh, my God. And I had grandparents be flower girls.
Oh, that's so cute.
It was the cutest freaking thing, and her grandmother took that job so seriously, and she was They were the cutest freaking thing. So we ended up changing into a dark, like charcoal gray, silverish reception gown.
So cute.
It was cool. It was really cool.
I'm thinking, I'm like, I didn't really have a crazy demand, but I did have a crazy situation where I had to be the officiant.
I remember that.
Yeah.
How did
what
you
was
do
that? 2020? It was just like a small wedding.
Short, sweet, and Googled, or what?
It was great, pretty much.
Oh,
like
cool.
It was so, like I literally got ordained online so freaking fast.
Do you have to be ordained?
I mean, that's what I did, and I'm like Minister.
So I'm a
Alyssa
notary.
Gore.
Yeah, so I'm a notary. So in Florida, I can marry anybody.
Oh yeah,
but I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah. So in this situation, everybody was there. We're getting up until an hour before the ceremony, and I'm touching base. I'm like, hey, are you on the way? And don't hear anything from him. It's sending us green when it should be blue. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like what is going on? So I'm calling him, trying to get in touch with him. I emailed him.
Did you add ordained minister to the brochure?
Yeah, right. Let me put it in my signature. So he's not responding. And I told the clients, I was like, I don't think your officiant is showing up. I tried to call other people to show up, but we were out on Kiowa. It's tucked away, not somewhere people can get really quickly. So I was like, I'll do it. Yeah. So I was like, just give me like 10 minutes. Yeah. It's so like, I looked all this stuff up online, got ordained really quickly. I looked up a script for them.
Is there a test? Because I'd have failed the test.
It's honestly really easy. I don't know how legit it is, but I was like, I have to do this in this moment. I'm so like, here I go.
I'll stamp it as a witness. I'll stamp it. We're good. Notary,
I know.
No
well,
problem.
That was the thing. Like Sarah is a notary. So she was like, I'll stamp it. Y'all will be totally fine. Whatever. So I kid you not. I was like, I'm going to have to send y'all down the aisle, obviously. And then I'll just come around.
Oh my God.
And I officiated their whole wedding.
With the S&B logo?
It was so funny. So, I'm just standing up there like doing their wedding, and they were so sweet, like so go with the flow. I mean, we found out that the poor guy had a stroke and was in the hospital.
Oh, well, hell, of course he didn't call you back.
Of course he
Damn,
didn't call me
Alyssa.
back. I know, I'm the
Insensitive
worst.
as hell, calling him. He's trying to live.
He's trying to live. I know, but he ended up being fine. But that was like,
So after he's fine, did they ask for their deposit back?
I think they worked that out with him individually. They were like, we're sorry you're going through this, but obviously, like, you weren't here.
Yeah, services were not rendered.
Yeah, services were not rendered. But I'm like, this is an act of God. I don't really know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
so that was definitely crazy.
yeah, wait, he was having a heart attack. So
yeah.
is that
He had a stroke.
a stroke? Okay, so I guess.
I mean, it's not his
But
fault,
is that an
poor
act
guy.
of God? He's a minister. That's kind of rude. Like, it's like.
You're like, let me just use this excuse. I don't know. I don't really remember where it ended up. Obviously, we felt terrible for him, but it was like, yeah, like they did, pay for this, and then there wasn't a replacement. Like nobody around him thought to say something, I guess. So they were like, what's going on? Like,
yeah. And I tell my brides, like, listen, anything can happen. We're there to kind of control the chaos, but anything could happen. I've had, a photographer like fell and like hurt her back really bad and had to send a second shooter. And she was like, wait, I'm not getting my photographer. The priest at my wedding wasn't there, and everybody's like, don't freak out. And I'm like, don't freak out.
It's like, so
what the hell's going on?
This?
Like, you don't say that to a bride. I had one of the brides, her strap broke.
Don't freak out, but like, low-key, this is bad.
Yeah. Like, never say don't freak out to a bride, because she's immediately like freaking out. It's like fighting with your husband and they say relax. That's not going to happen.
That's like a way to get beat. Like, do not ever say calm
you say
down.
relax, it's the opposite effect. And you say relax, I hear dumb ways to die.
It's exactly. It's like, no.
I had
doesn't fly with me.
Yeah, no. It's one of those things, but I had a maid of honor go into labor at the reception.
Oh my God. I forgot about this story.
It was crazy. We
were helping
like,
this poor girl. Like,
we were timing contractions and fanning her with our clipboards, and my assistant comes out, she's like, we're doing cake cutting. I'm like, are you good without me? She's like, we're good. And I'm like,
it's like, she's like, having a baby and you're cutting the cake.
We got the car pulled around and we got her loaded in, and I'm like,
I mean, it's crazy.
If her water breaks, like, I don't know. I mean, do we get bags? Yeah. I'm not trained for this.
I know. Like, we've had quite a few little things. Like, we had a poor grandma, like, last year, 2 years ago or something. She was getting her makeup done and, like, completely went unconscious. Like, she was, like, staring at them.
These
like,
are scary freaking Halloween stories.
And I tell you right now, like, the bride ran up and we just, like, hugged. And I was, like, starting to cry. I was like, oh my God, because you feel how stressed they are. But grandma was fine. She came to the wedding. She partied her pants off. And she had the best time. But we did have an ambulance come check her out. And she was like, I'm not missing this. But I was like, grandma is a badass.
Slay grandma.
Slay grandma. Exactly.
Me and grandma would be Facebook friends.
Yes, you would.
Yeah, we've had some crazy stories. Red flags we've talked about, and crazy demands from a client. I mean,
I know. I'm just trying to think of any like
crazy demands.
Like, obviously, talking about crazy stories, we've definitely stepped.
Well, I have brides like mail me stuff, which is not a big deal. We put it together, and But I've had to like fly things over to the Bahamas, like fly a bouquet over and fly things over because it's fine. I mean, it's
Florida office things.
It's a rough life. Sometimes
I mean, it sucks when you have to work in the Bahamas.
Sorry,
like, come on,
kids, mommy's got to work in the Bahamas again.
Gotta pay the bills. I mean,
as I'm like putting on a lei and like, spraying my coconut body wash and stuff.
But all jokes aside, you work really hard when you have to go out of the U.S. So
it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a totally different experience. A bit scary. Like, I never thought my life would be like where I'm flying in, walking a house,
flying
out for dinner.
Like, what?
I mean,
that's kind of bougie.
Yeah. Except when the plane has duct tape on it.
Well, that's true.
I'm like, your version of private and my version's private's very different. Like, what I see on TV is not what this looks like.
This is the Spirit Airlines of private planes.
It was 8 seats, and 2 of those were the pilots. And like, we were sitting there, and like, he couldn't get the one engine started. And I'm like,
as you already have like anxiety about flying anyway, and you're like,
well, you feel everything in those things.
Yeah,
it's like a little skateboard in the sky, and I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, engine's not starting. And seriously,
what are we gonna do? Nervous laughing.
Just start the Hail Mary.
Lord, where's the rosary?
Sorry for everything I did and all the F words I said, and I haven't been to church except on the holidays and annually. But I'm like.
Lord, please save
I will
me.
start going, I swear. But the engine's in there. And Sarah was with us. And I'm like, she's like, get me off the plane. I was like, dude.
It's like, no, Savannah, Sarah,
I'm
you're
like,
committed.
She's like, get me off the plane.
No, literally no. Like you're strapped in. It makes it so much worse when you know it's going to be bad and you're like, oh God, this might be the
pilot was
end.
like shutting the door and everything. I was like, I feel like you should be in there already. Like,
and why are you shutting the door without
Paige
you
was
in
with me,
here?
and Paige is like taking pictures, and she's like, he's on his iPad. I'm like, well, he's not gonna run into something.
I mean, we're in the freaking sky.
And I was like, it started. Everything's fine. The engine's fine. It just has to keep running now. And she's like, what?
Oh,
I'm like, 45 minutes. It's fine. Everything's fine.
That's
hilarious. Except for that whole
hilarious.
Bermuda Triangle thing. But it's fine.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Do you ever get weird stuff at weddings, like weird decor?
Yeah.
Have you had a Halloween wedding yet?
No.
I've had a couple
weddings,
inquiries.
we are doing a Halloween party this year, though, and it's going to be amazing.
I go to one every year. It's
like,
badass.
we're doing everything. Like I
as
kind
a
of
planner,
was like,
I'm super judging.
it's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm
right?
super
And she's
judging.
amazing. But like I had a walkthrough with her and she was like, I feel like nobody throws parties just to have them anymore. Like she was like, it's always an engagement. It's a baby or whatever. She was like, I just want people to dress up and come to my house and have fun. And like the thematics are on point. Like she was like, I'm not limited on anything. Like let's do this. So the props, the lights. Oh my
friends
God.
of ours
It's
do
gonna be
it
awesome
every year, and we go to it every year, and it is sick.
Yeah.
Like they have blood running down the shower in the bath. Like all, I mean, she goes all out. She starts decorating beginning of September.
Yeah.
All the way through, and I'm just like, dude.
I love it.
Like I don't know. I don't throw parties that much.
Right.
Because I want to clean up after it.
Yeah.
It's
I was
nice
about
to
to say,
go
like,
and
me
leave.
personally, not really. Like, I always joke with, like, Ben about this because I'm like, I feel like our jobs are so social.
Yes.
That when we get home, I'm like, I don't
hate
want.
people.
Yeah,
I hate
literally.
people. Don't
I'm like,
talk to me.
I just gave all of my energy to this wedding for 12 to 17 hours, depending on how long the day was. And I'm like,
Stop talking to me.
yeah,
Why are you
I'm like,
talking
I'm
to me?
exhausted.
I
like,
told my husband, I don't know what you're saying. Why are you talking to me?
it's like you can't process it though. Like Ben will be watching, Falcons football on Sunday, and I'm sitting in my spot on the couch. I have to take a nap, and he's like, "You fell asleep during football?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Have you met me?
I'm exhausted.
Has he worked a wedding with you yet?
No.
That's the problem.
I was about to
the
say
problem.
that's hilarious though, because I feel like Dame is a
worked-
ride or die.
He's a ride or die,
Like-
and he's worked a couple weddings. He's got fired a couple times. I remember I walked over, and this groom was being so mean to me, and it was killing him. He was like yelling at me and screaming at me, and I walked over, and Dame was like leaning against the wall on his phone, and I hate that. Like that's like my. I tell the girls,
Do
don't
not-
stand together. Don't be on your phone.
Be
Because you're
proactive.
gonna have that bride who's like, if
Why
you
are
guys
your-
weren't standing together doing nothing, that's wouldn't. I said you separate and you have all eyes in
Yeah.
the room. I want you proactive. I want you 100%. Can I get her a drink?
Yeah.
Is her drink full? Do I need to get her bouquet? If you see somebody walking around with flowers,
Constantly
let me
moving.
carry that for you. I don't care who it is. If you see somebody etching, they're like, can I get you some bug spray for
Yeah.
outside? Anything. So he was leaning against the wall on his phone. I said, get off your phone and act busy. 'Cause you're gonna have that one bridesmaid who's like,
Get it
click,
together.
look
Yep.
at my planner, not doing shit.
Yep.
And he was like, he looked at me and he smiled and he goes, if I get off my phone, I'm going to punch the groom in the face. And I was like, okay, never mind. Just take it to the
Keep watching
Take it
TikTok.
to the vendor room. It's
Yeah,
fine.
go
It's
sit in the
fine.
freaking car. I don't care what you do, but
Don't
just
do
don't
that.
look like that.
So he's worked a couple weddings with me, and it was so funny because the first Bahamas time I went over there, I was like, oh my God, I came home, I was exhausted. I was like,
Yeah.
you don't understand. It was so much work. We did like 15-hour day. And he's like, oh, poor you. You got to go to the Bahamas. And I was like, oh, okay.
No, but like low key,
Signed him
like
up
I
next
worked my
time.
butt off.
Yeah.
Get ready.
Signed him up. He
was
like-
doing lighting.
He was doing he was doing lightings. He was, because sometimes you just need a man there.
Yeah.
Like,
for
I'm
sure.
not moving a lot. Like, we just needed batteries and something.
Yeah.
I was like, need the batteries.
It's hilarious. I like
don't-
think
I'm
about.
not- I don't
Yeah.
do man. I don't know how to do a generator.
No.
I'm not pulling this cord or anything like that.
I
If
don't
it's
want
a
to
switch,
have
I can
to
manage
do
it.
it. And I
Yeah.
will say, like, I think about myself when I was single. I'm an independent queen. Like, I don't
Yeah,
need
no.
anybody for
Until it
anything.
comes to a generator.
But Ben and I started dating, and I was like, I'm cool with this. Can you
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah.
Can you do this? Like, but it's nice that you don't have to
Yeah.
like do it all yourself. And sometimes it just takes like their strength or like their men brain.
Yeah, because
to help us.
because they simplify it. We're all like,
Yes.
oh my God, there's dirt all over the grass. He's like, I'll get the blower.
Like, it's okay.
like,
and I'm like,
oh.
oh, thank you for your
blower,
problem
duh.
solving. They're the best.
You thought of a blower.
I know. I was like taking an emergency kit to my lead planner yesterday, and Ben was with me, and I was like, will you just like run it up to her apartment or whatever? And he did. And he like texted me, deed is done. And I sent it to her, and she was like, oh my God, that's so cute. And I'm like, they're the best.
Yeah.
Best assistants in the world.
I'm not good as a guest at a wedding. I was at your wedding.
Yeah.
But I judged the shit
Were you judging?
everything. It was amazing,
well, it's funny because my last podcast we were talking about like what went wrong, which was very like
just the
minimal.
rain. It rained all day.
Yeah, it did rain all day, which we survived.
And the officiant said the wrong thing.
Yeah, we did talk about that. Yeah, I mean, other than that, like it was good, but it's so funny. But I'll go back and even like judge my own. Like there's some things I would do different.
Mine was 16 years ago. I would never use Tool again in my life. Like who
Not
uses
the Tool?
I was like, I had the best wedding ever, and then I know how annoying I was because I had my DIY centerpieces.
Yeah.
Oh, you broke the podcast.
Oh,
that takes the cake.
Oh no. Is it good? Oh God. This will be the outtake. I can't believe I just hit it. Peyton's gonna kill me, or Sarah's gonna kill me. The funding of this.
Either way, you're dead.
Oh God. Time to go back to Charleston. You see me going 90 in my little Pathfinder. Let's go.
Yeah, but I go to, like, I very rarely get invited because I'm judgy, obviously.
Yeah.
And my husband's like, can you just like enjoy the night? Like you get to drink at a wedding. And I was like, this is true. I never get to drink at a wedding.
It's hard not to be at a wedding and not see every little element. And it's so funny. We're like, oh, nobody's worried about like silver or gold. And I'm like, I'm noticing you got silver, like taper candle, you know, like the whole thing.
Yeah, you did gold. Why didn't you do gold flower?
It's
what is wrong with you?
funny. It's
or like
so
the linen.
funny.
I'm like, the linen sizes are wrong, but that's fine.
Yeah, right? It's like, you could have hired us.
I was a guest and I had a DJ go, do you guys want to do your first dance now or do you want to wait? And I was like, oh. And he's like, they don't have a planner. I was
you
like,
said that out loud to everybody?
Out loud on the microphone. And he's like,
oh no.
And so I went, and he was playing, nobody was dancing. So I walked up to him. I was like, dude, can you play this song? And he was like, yeah, I'll get to it. I was like, no, seriously, discount DJ? I do this for a living. Change the song.
Discount DJ. Literally, this isn't working.
Like I do this for a living, so just roll with it.
You might not have a planner at this wedding, but you actually do.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Here's a timeline I whipped up in the car.
Exactly. I'm going to help you with this, actually. And that's the thing, too. Like, it can be hard, like, not to step in if there isn't a planner. Like, we've definitely done that for friends.
We're, like, in gowns and we're, like, moving chairs and adjusting. Like,
I
felt so bad it was raining. But I get to go to a wedding this weekend. I'm going to judge everything. But I'm going to judge.
It's like, you can't stray
away
away
from
from
I feel
it,
like
though.
It's even more stressful for the brides because they're like, oh, God, a planner's coming as a friend. I've had a bride invite me to her wedding. Like my bride, she's like, wait, I love you. How do I get you to like drink and have fun at my wedding? I was like, you have to fire me and then invite me.
Yeah.
And also I have nothing to wear. So.
And also let me put a lead planner on it. But I did have them do that. Yeah. Like I had clients do that at a wedding recently because they were like, they always want you to drink. And I'm like, I'm not drinking on the job. Like, I'm like, that's not my thing. Also, I'm a lightweight. I would make a scene after like one drink. Like, and we always, not good.
Like afterwards, me and my team, if we have a great wedding and everybody's like, yeah, it was amazing. It was like a really badass wedding. We're like, there's like a Mexican restaurant downstairs. I'm like, we're going to go have a margarita.
Go there.
After work. Exactly. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to treat everybody. And then it's midnight and we're like,
yeah. And then you're exhausted. Yeah. I know. But it was funny. Like we were standing at the bar. I think I was getting like the bride and groom like waters or something. And her dad was like, are you going to drink with us or what? And I was like, no, I'm not. And he was like, well, you're fired. Now you can get something. I was like, shut up. I was like, you're smart, but no, it's not going to work.
They want you to celebrate with them because to them, and it's bittersweet for me. Yeah. Like the wedding is bittersweet because I bond with my brides. I keep in touch with them. I love them.
And then it's over.
And at the end of the night when I'm saying goodbye, they're like, what do we do now? And I'm like, I don't know. Go make a bunch of babies. And that's baby showers.
Exactly.
Like, go make a bunch of
babies.
Keep
me coming back.
I've even talked about interns. Do you ever have a scary intern? Like scary, like.
Not a scary intern, but like interns that just don't want to like do anything. Like they don't want to listen.
So
like,
I had one. Just it takes the cake.
Blows my mind.
I'm
ready. Of course it does. It's a Florida story. You're winning. You're winning this one.
I'm winning. So this intern, talk about scary. We were setting up the memorial table. The bride had all black and white photos for the. It's a memorial table. She was really, really dim bulb. So she literally said, as we're setting up the memorial table, and I'll stress that one more time.
Yeah, the memorial table.
She says to me, "This is so pretty. Are these people coming tonight?" I go, in spirit, it's a memorial table. She goes, oh, I don't come to a lot of weddings. And my assistant looked at her and she goes, you don't have to know these people are dead. And
the pictures are normally them like at like 90 years old. Like, you gotta know.
They're not making it. I mean, they're making it, but like in spirit. And Amara has started out in a turn. So Amara's looking at me like, I'm like, no, you weren't that bad. Amara was amazing. She's been there 5 years now.
Amara is amazing. She's so sweet.
Love her. Shout out to Amara. She's gonna watch. She watches it every Thursday in the office.
She's gonna love this next week or whenever we come on. Not next week. We're probably gonna be down the line.
Have to edit a lot.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot.
I know.
We might need to wrap this up.
We'll sit here all day. Can we get a Starbucks?